Hi, guys. For this episode, I am doing a podcast with Ryan, a new friend of the LLB pod. Ryan and I have been keeping in touch, and he recently sent me a LinkedIn post. We discussed a post by Adam Schweib where he says that Silicon Valley truisms don't hold for European unicorn founders. So it's kind of obvious the biggest market is VC in US and specifically, especially Silicon Valley style. And basically, it's a post saying that just because what's true in Silicon Valley is not necessarily true in Europe. And so this is what we kind of get into. It's a very exploratory episode. It's more thinking out loud, but I think serves as a great starting piece of content to dig deeper, to distill more gems or more truths, accounting for the biases. I think we might have agreed with some of the biased kind of comments ultimately. So that deserves more thinking. But some of the key topics that we discuss are, is it contrarian or not? The culture of risk-taking between different regions, founder backgrounds, do technical founders or elite degrees matter? Very YC kind of stuff. Product market fit, the clarity versus the evolving nature of product market fit, macro versus micro in VC, the different funding cycles and market structures that affect outcomes. And some of the bigger questions. Can top-tier founders build unicorns anywhere? Luck versus skill. What really drives a startup outcome or success? Some closing takeaways. Should you really listen to these kind of studies and care? Should you ignore the data and just build what's in front of you? So this is some of the stuff we talk about. It's more open in discussion. The thoughts are not refined, but I think when I was editing this episode, there's a lot of talking points we can pull from this and make more content. So if you're interested, subscribe, stay tuned, and we'll come up with more content like this. Ryan and I are here today to discuss this post by this venture partner, Adam Schweib, I guess, who posts a lot of content. He has done a study on 15,000 early stage startups, and he's posting a lot about, I guess, some of his findings, right? And the latest post, which Ryan reached out to me today to discuss, was how VC truisms are not reflected in the data when looking at European unicorn founders, right? And it goes on to say something like 60% have no experience in the sector, 50% of unicorn founders do not possess like a master's degree, MBA, or PhD. Most founders are not technical. The majority did not attend a world-leading university. And many were not highly experienced, which he defines as having less than 10 years of work experience. And then they were unlikely to have worked for another unicorn. So what Ryan, you wanted to talk about was that this was contrarian or not contrarian?
Yeah, I guess this is framed as a contrarian take towards the traditional, I guess traditional VC conventional wisdom, where you have younger entrepreneurs, you want to bet young, you want to invest in people who have credentials. Basically, you want technical founders do better than just pure commercial founders. So yeah, this is framed as a bit of a contradictory take towards what the conventional wisdom is. The sample size might be biased because it's purely European focused, and also you have to look at the profile of European startups versus American startups, or even Chinese and the rest of the world, right?
Yeah.
Europeans generally more family-owned businesses, and their startup scene is way smaller than the American one. I think there was a chart circulating a few months ago where the American ones basically dwarf the European ones by market cap. So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting study.
I mean, yeah, it's. I think like you were talking about in the WhatsApp chat we had. That's like a lot of the comments actually kind of disagree with what he's saying, right?
Yes.
And I think the main thing that they were pulling up was base rate fallacy.
Yep, base rate, and I'm not exactly familiar with statistical methods, but I think they were talking about base correlation, the reverse causation fallacy as well. Essentially, you shouldn't draw these traits from the survivor sample.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also encompassed by base rate fallacy, I think, where
Yeah.
you're like picking out a specific trait and then assuming it's true for the rest without considering the general base rate for the whole. I mean, and he's only looking at European founders. I mean, I don't know if, because according to his previous post, he has done a study on 15,000 startups. But the question, like, how representative of the base rate of is that 15,000? Right? Is it across the whole globe? Is it like looking at heavily U.S. and European? Is it only European? So I mean, yeah, it's a little bit. I think when you look at data, you got to be a little bit careful, especially like VC numbers and this kind of thing. And like you mentioned, it's a little bit weird because are you surprised based off this findings, because European markets got to be structurally very different from U.S. markets from Asian. Like, say if we did a study on Asian founders, do you think it would be the same thing? I mean, of course it should be different, right? I think it's like why we see like YC not doing as well, for example, in Asia. Like the criteria,
Perhaps, actually.
like the criteria you pick for YC is a lot of those things that this post is saying is not true, right? YC will pick a founder from a leading university. They will pick from a technical background, worked at FANG, right? Which means they've worked for $1 trillion market caps, which is like almost a lot of the things that he's posting this saying is not true for European founders. They try to do it, I think, probably for Asia, but I mean, I don't think we see very strongly that there's strong founders of this background that are very, very successful, right?
It's different in Asia, I think. I think also in Europe, the variations here come from a few factors, right? First is the risk-taking culture of the Americans compared to the rest of the world. Like, I think there's been, I think one thing that's commonly known nowadays is that if you really want to sell to the Americans, if you want to sell innovative software, so you have to sell to the US. You can't just focus on the rest of the world, because the US is the leader, and they're the most willing to take risks and adopt new things, right? Which is reflected in how innovative they are. Asia and Europe, there are pockets of innovation, but I would say overall, they're still more of a less risk-taking, more conservative culture. So they tend to, I guess, the VCs there, locals, would probably invest more in established people who have credentials, who have who have experience. And the barriers to entry are probably higher as well here, because you'd have less of an even playing field in especially Asia. If you're an incumbent, you have way more resources compared to if you're just trying to disrupt the whole sector. But that's my point of view, I think.
Yeah, I mean I mean, you're talking about culture, but also like that ties to the fact that U.S. has just been around way longer, very specifically in this kind of industry VC business model, like from the times of semiconductors, essentially, which is like I guess the very beginning of this, are the real like Don Valentine time. When they started investing in semis, and then like the PCs, and then the ecosystem plays from that, which spawned out Sequoia. So I mean, U.S. has been doing number one a lot longer. Then you have different market structures. So I mean, obviously you should have different founders that are solving different problems for the market, of which would have some type of VC outlier return, right? So I mean, to me, it shouldn't be surprising if it is different. But yeah, it's unless like what is the argument that like no matter the founder, no matter the region, they'll figure out something and make a unicorn. Is that true? Or say if I put a U.S. founder and stick him in Asia, can you do the same thing?
It's a good question, actually. If you dropped a US founder, and I don't know if you dropped Zuckerberg into Singapore right now, as it is,
It's
with
because
how the incumbents are.
they're also looking at it from like a macro perspective. It also like the context matters too. Like like when Zuckerberg started, when Instagram was started, when WhatsApp was started, was all very different times. When Uber was started, from where Airbnb started, from now where we're starting with AI. Now we're looking at venture, both me and you, right? Like we are thinking every day, what would be compelling to build or invest in, right? And so where we're based, Asia is probably not the best. So say we're like based in US, maybe we've gotten more traction too, right? So
Yeah.
But like if we're trying to raise locally, there's not enough money for AI probably, or they don't believe you're convincing because you're not from Silicon Valley, because you probably need a deep tech background. And if you pitch to the guys in Silicon Valley, you need significant traction and some type of credibility that probably VCs would look at, as a truism for it to be true. So
Yeah, and
so say if I pitched to a Silicon Valley guy now for my AI startup from Asia, he probably would want to see I
yeah,
went to like Stanford. He probably would want me to have a technical background, right? So
no, no, completely
yeah,
true. And also that there's close to zero chance you'll be able to raise like probably upwards of like 10 mil pre-revenue, right?
yeah, but
Given,
yeah,
I think that you can only do that in Silicon Valley.
correct.
You couldn't do that in Asia.
Maybe
Um,
Europe, maybe not at the cycles. I mean, probably a small subset of people still, but I'm sure it's a more developed market. They have more money. Depends how
yeah,
much dry powder, but I think, but it still won't be the same as like yeah, like Silicon Valley, like you said, right?
maybe China, I
China,
guess,
yeah,
but
China,
that's a whole different market structure.
yeah,
But in the US as well is a giant single market, right?
yeah,
That's why it's favorable to sell there compared to even in Europe or especially Asia,
mm,
where every country is different. They have different regulations, they have different consumer trends. So selling, well, not selling, but basically building something in the US is way better still compared to building in Europe or building in Asia
yeah,
for now,
yeah.
structurally. Yeah.
Yeah, so if I'm looking at this post, like, what should I take away from it? Like,
Takeaway, I think I would just say, screw whatever data says, don't let the data define you. You can just build whatever you want to build. And just, I think data is just there to tell a story.
yeah,
It's not supposed to be like a box where, oh, you're less likely to, succeed if you are not if you're very highly experienced, if you don't have a technical background, if you so we can take the good from the post.
what is that?
Of It just says so basically it doesn't let people limit themselves, but again that's more of a moral lesson than I
Oh, I
guess than
guess yeah, from a
anything.
European
Yeah.
narrative. Yeah, it's almost like It's like almost like trying to put a reverse narrative on the unicorn outcomes, but when honestly, it's probably just luck and timing, and like a lot of money came in, and then bets were placed, and you have these outcomes, and they're of this kind of nature. So but yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost like reverse branding or justification.
Yeah, I think there's also some interesting things. I think one of the comments also mentioned 50% of unicorn founders do not possess a master's degree, but come on, that means the other 50% do, right? Like that's
Oh yeah,
just
correct.
statistics
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And
But that's not true.
like
It's yeah,
yeah, that doesn't really make
it's already
sense
like a
either way.
tiny, tiny subset of people who probably do possess higher education degrees, right?
Hmm.
So, yeah,
But it's pretty interesting.
what's the fallacy in your take then? Like, ignore the data and just build. I mean, you're still. I still think you're constrained to your geographic, political, social constructs. Like, if you're solving problems in Africa versus like Europe or America, South America, if you
Hmm.
apply the same kind of problem and it's just not going to look the same. I mean, I think
Yeah.
Rocket Internet proved this true, right? Like e-commerce was launched everywhere, but you could see the outcomes are really not the same, even though there's big outcomes. But
Yeah.
how they're kind of executed, how they're built up are very different. So,
Absolutely. I think even companies like Uber, right, they found out entering Asia,
well,
they had
yeah,
to exit multiple markets
yeah, yeah,
because how unsustainable it is. But of course, the whole narrative back home in the US also does play a role.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess this is VC, a lot of VC data, VC advice. I would say honestly, I don't want to be dissing the VC sector, but
Why not? Because you're looking for a
it's
job.
all in good faith. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's why we also
It's all
put.
in good
Yeah,
faith.
yeah, yeah. True.
It's all in good faith, but um, and VC advice can come off a bit misguided sometimes because they are not the
Okay.
founders. I mean, unless you're an ex-operator, a lot
Yeah.
of them don't have the experience of
Yeah.
founder
There's.
itself, right?
I mean, especially these days, and especially with the advent of AI content and people just
Mm,
trying to talk their books or uh, just sell on LinkedIn. It's kind of insane. There's a lot of people
yeah,
doing this, which I don't know. I shouldn't knock that too much because I think it's a valid channel that we might have to use as well. So
it's a content funnel.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that's Reid Hoffman's thesis, which really turned out to be true on social network effects plus work, right? So that really people are really milking that
yeah.
today.
The media business is insane. The margins are amazing. Like even if you have an Instagram account, this is a bit off topic,
Yeah.
but like if you have an Instagram account with like multiple followers, like you can like let's say even less 100,000 followers,
Yeah.
you can you can actually charge a pretty decent amount, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sponsored
For
posts,
sure. For sure.
like yeah, which is
Um,
pretty insane.
yeah, I don't know what my gut is telling me. I'm like the probably the worst person to talk about hard numbers, data statistics. Because early frontier, it's like heavily about the well, at least for me, what I believe or what I kind of follow is like
Mm,
how well do I know the founder? Usually, people I invest in is just people I've known for a long time, right? So I'm willing to go on that journey with a person because early frontier, it's pivoting, finding product market fit, your product market fit changing, right? So it's not like statistics can fully account for all that. Um,
How how important is product market fit to you relative to, I guess, the track record of the founder? For example, because product market fit is an evolving concept, right? I think a lot of VCs like to say, oh, before achieve product market fit, don't do X, Y, Z.
yeah, that's not
But
even.
again,
Yes, there's no
yeah,
such thing as a black and
it's a
white
moving
product market
target.
fit. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of early stage. I like to see a founder who has enough clarity, where regardless pre-product market fit, or product market fit, that whatever strategic decision they have enough clarity to know that the business can become ramen profitable, like Paul Graham ramen profitable. And there's a very
Mhm.
strong probability of that I'm more inclined because I know that if they need to go raise on the next round and they can't raise, it's not going to be a death raise, right? So worst default case, they're kind of pushing for growth and sacrificing, profitability, and they have product market fit, but they're doing it strategically with clarity. I know that if they can't
Yep.
raise for the next round, well, they can just go to profitability. Then they have more time to kind of figure it out, right? So
Yeah. So
it's just really feeling out and talking with the founder how much they like. If they have they done enough homework up to the frontier before they make the jump, and then like, what does that look like? And do I really believe they know how to make this a profitable business or not? If things don't work, 'cause I usually go very early stage, right? So
mhm,
at least that's how I've been looking at it for the past few investments for myself. So I mean, I don't know.
that's
I
fair.
would need like a significant larger sample size. I mean, but even still, I have my biases and my methodology is not really fixed either. So it's like, I don't know what I would pull from that.
Yeah, I
So
think I think you'd also have to see the potential of the business, right? Like,
yeah,
given again, it's would we have invested in let's say Facebook if we had the money, if we had
yeah,
the position, we were in that position. I'd
yeah,
be willing to reckon that quite a lot of us would have
Y-
passed, right? Because we
yeah.
don't understand it, we
Well,
don't see, we don't have a vision.
the famous anecdote around that was Peter Thiel thought he put 500K in. He thought he was only going to get 15x max. He never would have. He never dreamed the amount of fucking money he made from that bet, right? So
Mm,
at least like I think it was he said that
it's
in an interview
insane.
somewhere, right? So like just, you could say whatever you say with the data, but the truth is like the way power laws work, the way VC works, it is almost in a sense that there are very tiny percentage of people who can do very concentrated like long term Peter Thiel type bets. But like if you're more disciplined like a trader and you do it like you manage your risk, the economics, like every deal you do has to return to fund size, like a 500 startups kind of situation. It kind of makes more sense over time. If you're in the right cycle, then you're going to do pretty well. Of course, you're in a down cycle, it just might take longer and you have to be more disciplined. And raising next funds are harder, right? So I don't know. That's
Mm,
yeah, it's tricky. Like the macro matters a lot, actually.
yeah, no, it's the macro determines the micro essentially.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, they're
trickles
holistic. It's
down to the
holistic.
micro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they go hand in hand.
But then like given the macro situation right now, you're seeing a lot of I guess the death of VC as people call it, right? Well, what are
Is there?
your thoughts
Is
on
that people are? Where's this coming from?
I think people are saying VC as an asset class is getting very
Is this what like
bloated,
in like Western media, locally media, friends telling you, people you're talking to?
I think this is more in the West. Basically, you've got people saying, well, I think in the US you have 75% of VC funds going to, sorry, yeah, 75% of funds going to like I think the top five VCs. I don't
Yeah,
remember
but that's not
exactly,
the
but
death
they
of
did post
VC,
it.
right? That's just conscious. I mean,
And then
it follows how VC should work. I mean, there was just so
Yeah,
many bad people during the whole QE phase for the past few decades where it was sooner or later
true,
these guys
true.
are going to get wiped out because they're not performing. They're not at some point when the market dynamics change, interest rates go up, right? They just can't raise the next one when risk goes off, right?
That's true,
So
but I guess the thing is, I think the thesis there is that it's heading towards fund size, AUM, right? That's the play for most VCs. It's heading
okay,
towards
that's
that
kind of
2 rather than the
mature,
20.
but it will also cycle out again. It will go like where these guys are like all the AI crypto guys have all the money now, but like at some point
Mm-hmm.
it has to distribute again.
True.
There'll be a new paradigm. Like AI will make a new paradigm. Maybe one day crypto will make a new paradigm. But no, I mean a lot of people don't believe that, but
Who?
right, crypto native people believe that, right? So there is like 1% of real projects probably within crypto. You know, even people are calling right now for like all the meme coins are dying now. Apparently, Solana the coin is tanking, right? So,
Yep.
but I mean,
Lost a lot of money on that.
I think it's just a recalibration. It's the market should always kind of
Mm,
work this way. It is a bit weird where it's like maybe AI is like the new internet, but even like crazier. Now the question to me, like, if you want to extend that, is it more dystopian or more utopian? That's the part. But like, I don't know. Like, me and you really don't like. Is it wrong to say that we can't literally control this? So we just have to do our best and do whatever we're doing. Like, we're not running the top world AI companies. Like, we're not.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I guess we can vote, but even like voting doesn't. Like, say you're in China, you're not voting either, right? So if an American, you're like proxy voting, then Trump's gonna do whatever the fuck he wants anyway. So I mean, does it matter? Either
Yep.
AI is gonna kill us or not. So
No idea,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah.
I don't think there's anything we can change, right, with this sector as
But
well.
the
But
one thing we
again,
could have done was from that other post you sent me. If we were more clever, industrious entrepreneurs, we could have bought all the AI domains. What was that list you sent? Yeah, this you sent this. Was it a tweet or something, or where's this from?
yeah, it was a tweet on X. Basically, someone's posting one of his friends spent the first half of 2023.
That's
This guy
like not
named
that
Phil
long ago.
Novak.
That's
Yeah, it's
crazy,
like
crazy insight.
1.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's not, so basically, I think he spent that time buying a lot of AI domains. But if I remember correctly, at that point, I think AI domains were not that cheap anymore. They weren't the extreme prices that this guy's been flipping
No,
them
but
for,
even
but
like
they weren't cheap.
no way. Let's pull up like a Squarespace domain. How much are they now?
I mean, this based on the tweet, the guy says he's gotten 7-figure offers. So
No, but like say
I'm
like there's
guessing
like an
more.
available domain. Let me check. Like,
You want to buy one?
well, I'm curious. No, .ai. Yeah, I don't know where to check. I don't know. I can check later. But like, is it? I mean, because typically they're what like 10 to 20 bucks a year, and then like the expensive ones are like 50 bucks a year. So like, how much would an AI one cost?
Try GoDaddy actually. Let me have a look. Um, but I remember when we were building, I guess one of the AI, an AI venture to buy the domain name, we had to go for the cheap one because the expensive one was being sold for 6 figures.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, and it wasn't like a very obvious
No, but
name,
that means
like
those are the ones that were probably bought up already.
perhaps. But
Yeah.
there were people buying up these domains and selling them, and we sent an email to one of them, and he was like,
Here
"Wait,
we
I'd sell it for you
go.
for 700K."
So 200 ringgit about for the first year. What is that? That's like divided by 4 point something. So it's like what 50, 60 bucks maybe. That's not that crazy, right? Just for
Which domain? What domain name is it?
just in general. It's like I'm looking at GoDaddy and they have like a .ai is the future. So they're milking it. Because
Interesting.
.com. Well, no, because I think the ones that you're bidding for, people bought up already. That's why it's like 6 figures.
Yeah, they've been buying up the
Yeah,
the common ones, right? I
yeah.
guess this guy's been buying up Walmart.ai, Lockheed.ai. I think you can share on
Yeah,
the
I wonder if
screen,
he
but
would.
like,
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah,
corporate
I'll pop
names.
it up. Yeah, I wonder if he was like buying it from people who bought it already too. That's why it costs more, maybe. But even still, it's a great investment, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it will top buying MicroStrategy stock, but
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah.
still pretty
Correct,
good.
correct. Well, MicroStrategy
But
is
anyway,
just a Bitcoin proxy too, anyway. So
yeah, it's an interesting play
yeah,
what they're
yeah.
doing.
All right, how's everything else with you? How's the job hunt? How's the venture building ideas? Anything interesting? Networking? Anything?
Um, I am interviewing with both, and so I guess on that side it's going okay.
Back to
I had an
consulting, huh?
interview last week. I think I kind of bombed the interview last week, so I think my fate's
But you
sealed.
did
I'm
it
just finishing
before.
up the process.
You did consulting interviews. Like, what's the difference now?
Sorry?
What's the difference with consulting interviews these days?
I think no, I just didn't really prepare for the fit part, like as well. Like, consulting interviews, they're notorious for basically drilling down
Yeah.
on every aspect of your CV. So,
Okay.
yeah, for me, I just personally didn't prepare enough, but it's fine. I mean,
They
I
want.
think I managed okay. It's still a 50-50. So,
Okay. Yeah. Well, they need talent, if anything. So I think no one wants to go into consulting anymore. So
I think everyone's going to AI,
yeah,
but
exactly.
before then it was all consulting, investment banking,
Yeah.
finance was still the play.
Yeah.
Quant was the play, actually, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, still relevant if you're in the financial world. So,
Mm.
what about venture building ideas? Anything?
No, I've actually personally been working on building up the skills required. So I'm actually, well, just trying to understand, well, again, I've shown up my understanding of Python.
Oh, Python. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. I did join a community of builders.
Okay.
So basically, it's just a group of people who meet up once a month to
Nice.
learn how to build with no code AI. So I got them into using code, but it was a bit disorganized. So we did come up with a wedding planner platform, but it was kind of hosted on
Oh,
Replit.
that's kind of
So
cool.
yeah, Streamlit, sorry, not Replit,
But I mean,
but yeah.
like, you can just use
We just
the.
it was just a prompt to Claude, and then
Yeah, correct.
deploy on Streamlit,
Yeah, exactly. So
essentially.
you could just. I mean, I guess that's kind of like no code, like no code. Like
Low code,
you
they
just
call it.
use it
Yeah.
like an LLM. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
to kind of hack it
No,
together.
yeah, it's really good for building a prototype, but
Yeah.
I guess if you want to take it further, it gets way steeper, which is why I'm learning how to do HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then
But you
building
could still
stuff.
just do LLMs with it and then have them generated. Then you could just tweak around with it, right?
You could, but I guess I like to understand the specs of what's going on under the hood, right? You don't want to fly a plane and then realize, oh wait, it's not going to work,
No, I
and
think
then
all
not know how to
engineers are
fix
like
it.
that though when they start out. So I don't know. I would even argue a
Yeah,
lot of senior engineers are like that still. So
you're not wrong, yeah. I mean, I learned how to build planes in university, and honestly, we have no idea what we're doing.
um,
But yeah,
you built an AI. Oh, you had proposed to one of your previous corporate ventures that you were wanted to build an agent for them, or no?
eight.
AI,
Sorry, what do you
like an
mean?
AI agent?
Was this the example I was talking about earlier
No, I don't know. Like I remember, I
about
thought
domain?
maybe one of our past conversations you mentioned that one of the companies, was it Leap, where you proposed?
Oh yeah, that was Leap. Yes,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
retail insights co-pilot. Yeah,
Oh, so
AI
yeah.
agent.
So was
Exactly.
it was an agent of sorts, or was it more just AI running as a tool? Like was it
We
agentic
want.
definition?
I think it was more supposed to be like a co-pilot, not an
Okay,
agent.
okay. So it's more
Agent's supposed to autonomously do
correct.
everything, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. So okay, but then you never got too far to specking any techs or MVPs, right?
Yeah, I just went to AWS Bedrock
Yeah.
and spec'd the models out, but we didn't get into anything beyond
Yeah.
that because the whole project
Yeah.
didn't go through after that.
Yeah, because one of my friends I just met recently, he knows some of the hottest projects that are based in KL globally for like AI
Mm.
crossover crypto. And so I was hoping to connect to some of these guys to talk to them to see if they have any roles available. And then I had to start researching agents. I mean, this is where like the money is, and it's where all the tech is, right? Where people are throwing money. So unfortunately, like if you want a job that's going to be somewhat relevant or can pay well, I have to look into. So I was looking at agents, and
Mm.
have you ever come across anything like thinking about the agent space? Because even if you're not building a company with it, even for personal use is very. I found like automating certain useful like workflows. The biggest examples you see on YouTube are like people using building their own kind of like personal assistants, right? That kind of plug into their whole ecosystem, and they run everything from like their WhatsApp or it's voice only, and then it just plugs into their email, calendar, everything. But then
Oh,
there are use cases where like for me, what I was thinking is like, since I want to like one day do more early stage investing, but you don't have access to it, why not
mm,
have an agent or I guess first level would be like having an AI kind of help you on the value chain of some of those things. But eventually, over time,
yeah.
when you have your idea of what the ideal agent is, they could just take your criteria and then autonomously source their own deals, run
Wow.
24/7, can make the investment decisions. They could set up a DAO. You could co-invest. The DAO could invest with it. The community could invest with it. In theory, you wouldn't also need to maybe run like you wouldn't need to do traditional VC because that requires LP GP structures, which are very limiting. If you just
Mhm.
because raise a coin itself, right? It just basically gives you access just to deploying whatever you want.
I personally haven't come across that, but yeah, you're right. The crypto VC space, sorry, crypto AI space here. I think in KL is quite. There's quite a few players.
Yeah, yeah,
You have Jupiter, you've got Virtuals,
correct.
CoScan, SoulScan.
Yeah,
Sorry, not SoulScan, EveScan.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, like in terms of fully autonomous AI agents, I haven't seen a tool that could do that. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
even
The closest I've
I think
seen
the only
was one that was meme. Like they had an autonomous agent, but it was ended up doing meme. It ended up like being a trader, not an investor, which
do you mean in the crypto space, right?
yeah, the crypto space. Yeah, yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah. I mean, but
I,
I was thinking more like how could I just automate my part of the things that take too long. Like yeah, if I because I have to build like an audience, I have to raise money, which takes time, and so I was like, well, if you just build something that does it small, it could raise the first amount tiny, deploy that amount, and then it could just keep building on that, right? So, I mean, it could be used for
maybe,
other
yeah.
things too, like even just like automating some of my workflows for media, right? Like that, or you could even just
I have seen a few AI tools for media,
yeah,
but I haven't seen like workflow automation tools for media yet. I
yeah,
have seen like basically they can take a few videos of
yeah,
you and basically create. I
yeah,
think
yeah,
there was a few recently released tools.
yeah,
They can create videos of you
S-
um,
yeah.
for social media,
So that that
prep
would
for social
that
media.
would be like my pitch to you if we were to get together to talk more in person. Is that look at this space maybe because you are
Hmm.
looking at learning code and this kind of stuff, but you could even just do very low level, like L1 low level agents that do rule based kind of stuff just by prompting.
Yeah, maybe.
And then you could use it to connect to APIs. And some of that
Yeah.
coding will come into use, will be where you kind of understand that. And then it gets you can get it to do things that are valuable, but like thinking of it more from a business perspective, like what do you see in front of you that have problems that people would pay for, and you kind of combine some type of agent or AI to kind of do that. Since it's very like available these days. I mean, not so much. I wouldn't think of it so much as a like a wrapper and raise money, even though you can do that. A lot of my friends are saying like, if you get any,
That's crypto comp AI actually. A
yeah,
lot of these crypto AI companies are wrappers.
yeah, they're all. I mean, everyone. I actually the interesting thing from end of 2024 into this year, all deal flow that I've been getting, it's all like AI wrappers.
Yep.
It's like 90%, which is very interesting, and one like pickleball one, which was interesting, which I'm meeting the people probably next week. But uh, yeah. So like I don't know if I'm thinking more from an actual real value perspective though. Like I think it's
Yeah.
something you should consider because I wouldn't have considered this if I wasn't looking for that job. So, but it's quite fascinating. It's very practical, I'd say. Um, Even if it's just
I agree.
brings in a small amount of cash flow, right? So any business model that you could see where whatever business is in front of you that would pay, you set it up for them, right? Then kind of makes sense, I guess. Yeah.
Actually, I've been thinking about that as well. But I personally, I've thought of two things based off. I guess one's based on my experience. One else is just based off imagination.
Yeah.
Um, I think both are figments of imagination. But one was actually for a lot of these KOLs, Instagram influencers,
Yeah.
right? All these they do a lot of sponsored posts. They do a lot of content creation, media editing, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
The whole workflow. You're familiar with that, right?
I
So
mean, not really, but I mean, like I know people working in that space, so yeah.
but you know the workflow
Yeah.
essentially,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
a lot of it is still highly manual, as
Correct.
you said to me, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I think the tool for this niche segment for influencers or something like that,
Yeah.
to manage all sides, right? Negotiations
Yeah.
with brands,
Actually, it's
invoicing
good.
with the whole new
That's a
thing
good
coming
point.
in.
The biggest AI use cases I've seen are in these kind of processes that like involve talking to suppliers. So some of
Paperwork.
my friends are using that. They're either in a distribution space or managing like kind of stores where they need to restock things, and building an agent that kind of can do that really is actually very useful. And it sounds very
Yeah,
similar in terms of workflow process. If you're negotiating or reaching out to people, some type of agent would also be very useful probably in that space for either KOL or you could even do it probably like live streaming too, right? Like that's like
absolutely.
another niche that would. I mean, it's not even niche. They're like huge actually. You pick like the biggest buyer and sell him a tool that like makes his life 30% more, and then he pays X amount of margin for that. I think it's worth it, right?
Or even a flat fee, I think, because they are making a lot, right? They
Yeah,
wouldn't mind paying a little bit to free up a lot of time for them
yeah,
on the boring stuff,
yeah,
basically,
yeah.
so they can get focused on creating content they like.
True.
Second one was this is a space I have no idea on, but um, I quite sure there is value to be created.
Yeah.
So architecture.
Mm,
Um, Architects, right? That I'm very sure there's processes that generative AI, right? Not even just AI agents, but if you. So I have a few friends. I mean, I don't know them that well, but knew them from uni. They are building something for 3D CAD, basically,
yeah.
computer assisted design. But that's for engineering.
Yeah.
So if you take that to another industry, which is basically architecture, or even I don't want to say like construction engineering
Yeah.
because I have no idea what that is, but civil engineering. But architecture, I'm quite sure is quite ripe for disruption in a way. But again, I don't understand the industry. I
Yeah.
don't understand the structure yet, which kind of discourages me from entering. And I guess I need to speak to an architect to understand further.
Well,
Um,
we can tie this back to that European post. Do you need to be a domain expert or not, or would or are you even curious?
yeah, exactly,
Are you
exactly.
curious enough where you would care about it when things got hard, or would you just quit? I think that's the tricky part as a founder, right? So it's interesting. Like I say, like if you had a passion for architecture your whole life, and you loved like the whole process, not just like looking at the end product, right? But like, like you knew more about it deeply, even though you never practiced it. Would that be sticky enough for you to kind of solve a problem with it or not? Yeah. I don't know because it
Maybe.
depends on your personality. Some people can just pull on a thread and then it becomes their everything. I think I'm not always that kind of person unless it's for very specific things, right?
Yeah, me
So
neither.
like I know if like
But
for example if I were to go out and do like a random pets business, if it wasn't working out right away, after like 2 or 3 years I'll probably just quit. And I,
yeah,
I,
that's fair.
I
I
kind of seen
mean,
this pattern with myself, so I'm a little bit more cautious about what I dive into, especially I'm older now. So you're younger,
no,
maybe
I
maybe
agree.
you can just do it.
No, no, I agree actually, because actually, I've also seen lots of these firms that raise their
Yeah,
Series A,
yeah,
but then don't proceed to grow
yeah.
right after
Correct,
that. They
correct.
they just stay stuck in that chasm, and they die a slow death until the founders decide to give up and
Yeah,
stop going
correct.
at it.
Which is
They
actually,
yeah.
I'm like 37 now. A lot of founders in my cohort are hitting that 10-year mark from when they like after that whole big e-commerce cycle, and a lot of big names like people or they were very good at selling. They raised a lot of money. A lot of them are like struggling and probably I would say the majority of them are struggling and are all arguing about like on the verge of quitting or having a some type of exit, right? So, whatever that means,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah. So like in some sense, I'm kind of mad I didn't do more productively, but at the same time, like would have I chased an idea where I just wouldn't have done anything of meaningful value, right? And is it maybe better now
Maybe.
to start something, right? Like you said, that study is it like entering 40s? Is that the time I should be doing it, right? And then it makes way more sense, right? So
I'm slowly positioning you to being an entrepreneur, to being a founder.
no, I
Yeah.
position myself like
Yeah, you position
I
yourself.
no in terms of it being obligate. If I had a high paying job, maybe I'd be happier. Maybe I should have never quit working, right? So
Or
that's
you might be regretting it. You might be like, oh, when am I gonna
it's
quit,
it's
right?
always
I've got
yeah.
a kid
It's
now.
the problem is it's always the grass is always greener, right? That's the problem, and I think that's what people need to kind of remind themselves if they have a good, well-paying job and most of their needs are met and they're generally happy, you know, you don't have to always start a business, not necessary. At the same time, there's a small percentage of people who probably should, but I don't know. It's part of the game, I
True.
guess.
It depends on what you want, I guess, personally. But I'll also feel like you would regret if you didn't actually make, even attempt to, even if it fails, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
at least you tried rather
Right,
than I
correct.
never had the courage to try.
That's true. That's true. As long as, I mean, yeah, I think as long as you can be more or less okay, which is a lot of the people. There's some people who are probably straight from poverty or struggling. That's probably more meaningful. But like if you
Yep.
were someone who always had a job, middle class, and then if you get the job again, yeah, probably should be okay in general, right? So,
Yeah, if you can get a job again, there's no need.
which is also probably why in Asia, you know, a lot of the founders are not that great because we all could just get a job later. I would say it's probably should be this. I think it's probably the same in the U.S., but however, you can get a meeting as long as it's very tangible value with almost anyone. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
there is. I guess that there is still that American dream there,
yeah, for sure,
even though
for sure.
it's fading fast. But yeah, but yeah.
Well, I don't know. That's yeah. Well, yeah, I'm too far removed, I think, to make a comment if I agree with that or not. But I mean, yeah, I mean, media. If you read the media, it seems like it's all doom and gloom. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But
Well.
last thing actually,
Yeah.
just because I've actually tried to speak to some people in the crypto space as well, but yeah, just be a bit wary of who you speak to. I've heard that there's a lot of scammers and like unscrupulous figures around in Malay, even in the Malaysian crypto space.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's
So,
crypto in general. But what in
mm,
what even if they pay you like a high paying job, still be wary or like
I guess look at the company background, right? Are they like actually a legit one, or are they, just doing this on the side? Are they going to be, are they just to understand who the founders are, what the background is in crypto,
yeah.
if they're linked to any suspicious activities in a way.
Oh, for sure though. Yeah, there's tons of people who are trying to use it for like laundering and stuff, right? So
Unfortunately, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
But that's where the money's to be made, right? There's a lot of upside there if you can get on the right in on the right coins, on the right
Yeah.
tokens.
I'm not expert enough at this stage to know if that's still relevant or not. I think very early on that was like a big narrative. But like for example, like in US now, ICO is even regulated, right? So like
Hmm.
there's wherever you're on ramping, off ramping, there's KYC. So maybe in countries where it's looser and more crypto friendly, maybe it's still possible. So like not I'm not too sure actually, but I mean yeah,
Maybe.
I think it's always been a feature, not a bug, of the scamming nature because it has to do with currency at the end of the day, right? And
Mm,
I mean, by right, it should bring more transparency with ledgers and all these things, but it takes time to build that infrastructure to support it because it's very still complex, you know. So, but yeah, fair enough.
yeah, it's
Good point.
actually only done the opposite for now. I mean, it's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
opaque. That's what we've seen.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, in theory, it could be transparent, but like I think it takes a lot of expertise to make that so for unwinding certain things, right? So,
Mm.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah. I mean, is there anything else on your mind you want to close off or?
not much. I think thanks for having me again. It's been interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, like would love to keep talking about business ideas and build. I guess start actually doing things.
Yeah.